I'm not into wine, but I do love cheese and crackers. Has nothing to do with these microphones, but yes, Wave DX versus the Rode PodMic. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Rebel Tech channel. I'm Justin, and in this video, we're going to be comparing, obviously, the Elgato Wave DX dynamic XLR microphone and the Rode PodMic, the I want to say OG budget broadcast microphone, but I don't know for sure. If you guys know another one, like a budget, like something that was made specifically for podcasting or broadcasting or streaming or whatever it is, before the PodMic, that was an XLR microphone specifically, let me know down in the comments. So with this comparison, I noticed that the construction is much different. So with the PodMic, I mean, it's been around, what, 3-4 years now? And it's still a tank. And I say tank because you can literally bludgeon someone with it. Now, the Elgato Wave DX, which is a hard name to remember, but sure, dynamic, XLR, that kind of thing. This microphone doesn't feel like you could hurt anybody with. I mean, it might annoy someone, but it's not going to bludgeon someone like the PodMic. Now, when it comes down to microphones, especially budget microphones, they're kind of like a dime a dozen nowadays. When the PodMic first came out, it was kind of like, oh, this is the only one. This is the end-all or be-all for broadcast budget microphones. Now it's kind of like, all right, what do you got for me next? This comparison is really comparing the newcomer. Obviously, it's pretty old now. It's 6 months old or so, maybe even more. Maybe even a year old. I don't know. I don't remember when it came out. Future me will put in the date of when it came out. The newcomer, for lack of better terms, to the original, self-proclaimed, Rebel Tech proclaimed original, I don't know, budget broadcast microphone. So, without me rambling any further, let's go into the build a little bit further. You got a double yoke mount, double-sided, full grip on it, and a single over here. I was a fan of it when I saw the PD70, the single arm. It articulated better, and it was just nice on a boom arm. And then I realized that the handling noise was a little rough. So keep that in mind. We'll do a tap test in the booth to compare the two, but I do feel like the Wave DX is going to suffer in that one. I could be wrong, but I'll let you know in the outro, and you're going to know in the booth. So as far as the build is concerned, a high edge to the PodMic. It's a tank. It's really well made, and I love it. I really do love the way this thing is built. And the Wave DX, it's a at least comparatively speaking. Now, I'm about 2-3 inches away from the fronts of the microphones, and this is what it sounds like. I'm going to back up and then do some off-axis stuff. All right, I'm about like 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from the fronts of the microphones. This is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. And it's a small room, so it's not like going to have some echoey stuff. There's no parallel walls that are flat. There's a carpet underneath me, so keep that all in mind when you're comparing it to your own recording space. All right, 90-degree test, stage left. This is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. And the Wave DX, I think it might have a little bit of an extra rejection, but that's just how I feel. These both are cardioid, so keep that in mind. At least from my experiences, remembering, because I haven't really tested the Rode PodMic in a while. The PodMic was kind of meh on the off-axis, but the Wave DX, I feel like has a little bit better. Now on the PodMic side, 90 degrees, about 1.5 feet away from the PodMic, stage right. This is what it's going to sound like in the studio here. Again, mildly treated. Nothing crazy, but it is a small room. Not many flat walls. I mean, you got the masonite on the sides that are flat, but it's not too detrimental to the recording of the audio, especially with the dynamic microphone. Now, lastly, 180 degrees, about like foot or so away. I'm trying to back up as much as I can, but it's a small space. Doing the best I can. This is what it's going to sound like in studio here, mildly treated, like I keep saying, and you might get some reflection back behind the camera. So keep that all in mind. All right, so that's it in the studio. If you have any questions about the studio section, please in the comments just say which section you're talking about and then ask your question. All I ask you, just be nice. That's the only rule on this channel. Just be nice to each other and me specifically. All right, so Wave DX, listening to it right now in the booth. It's a little bit of a mess right now, but I'm rearranging the studio and I'm kind of making it a little bit more room. So bear with me here if it seems a little bit off. And it's really hot, so we're going to get this done quick. I got a lot of videos to record. I'm recording all the Wave DX stuff in the booth today, so it's going to be a hot one. So with the Wave DX, from what I've listened to in the last like 5 minutes of listening between the two, I noticed that the low end is definitely more prominent compared to the Rode PodMic. Maybe it's the fact that it's more neutral, the PodMic, but that's something that stands out. Let's switch to the PodMic. So going to the PodMic right now, yeah, you're getting a little less of that low end, at least on my voice. Well, I mean, on any voice, I mean, it's just taking away something that I had before on the other. Now, it's very subtle. It's not like crazy. It's probably in the like 500 to maybe like 700 range or so. So keep that in mind if your voice is in that. If you want to emphasize it more, maybe go with the Wave DX. If you don't, if you want maybe a more flatter line, at least audibly, let me know in the comments if that's something that you're looking for. If you're looking for something more low end prominent, and or more neutral. Now, that's really just the major things that stand out. So let's do a tap test, plosive test, and maybe a little around. We're going to do, okay, we're going to do this again. It's a little rusty and I'm boiling. Tap test, plosive test, close proximity all around, and close proximity like this. So, tap test. Not bad. All right, so the thing that I noticed, I'm back on the Wave DX. With the stand part, this was better. But with the tapping of the bodies, they're pretty much the same. I probably give a slight edge because it does sound a little bit better on the tapping of the microphone. Granted, handling noise is very fluent, so it could be just about anything that you do, moving it on a stand or whatever it is. So keep that in mind when we're doing these tests. The next thing is plosives. It's okay. Pretty close. It's a wash on that one. Proximity effect. This is what it's going to sound like when we're close to the Rode PodMic. Getting nice and sexy with that low end emphasized a little bit more. Now with the Wave DX, this is what the low end's going to be like. It's not like overwhelming because I know that this one has a little bit more low end, a little bit, not very subtle, but I noticed that it's definitely smoother, I think is what I'm looking for, is the word. Smoother. But let me know what you think down in the comments. And when you leave a comment, just say, hey, in the booth or whatever test. If you're saying something specific, just tell me what section it's in. All right. Do a little close proximity off-axis stuff. Okay, moving around to the left side, or your left, my That your left? Yeah, it's your left. Stage right, really. This is what it's going to sound like, close proximity, moving around to the back. This is what it's going to sound like. Excuse the back of my head. I know that it's probably going to be something that you're going to see a lot in the next couple of videos. I think that's it. So there's your audio test in the booth with these two microphones. I definitely feel like the Wave DX is, and the PodMic, these are not microphones you're probably going to be in a booth with. You could, but it's probably not something that you're going to use in a booth. And this is not a perfect booth, so maybe it's just a better environment. So if you have a nice little studio and it's more well insulated and stuff like that, which a little teaser, I'm hoping that I can bypass the booth tests because I really don't have much time right now in my life. I can bypass the booth test by making the studio a more sound environment, acoustically pleasing sound environment. So if you guys have any ideas, anything whatsoever, I think I'm going to start just using these walls and put it on the walls and take some shelves down, buy some shelves, so that kind of stuff. So a lot of things going on in the studio, a lot of revamping because of my life changing and things like that. Hopefully one day I could build a studio of my own and then I could just make it easier. So to the untreated room. Okay, untreated room with the Wave DX and the Rode PodMic. This isn't the untreated room that I have been using for the past, can't remember how many videos. It's also not a room with drywall. It's wood and carpet underneath, stuff like that. So it's not as reflective, but it is it's a bigger room. So you're going to get more echo back from the walls there. And there's some stuff in the room, but you still have the echo going on. You have the refrigerator going off right now. It might turn off. So if you hear that, TV upstairs, you might hear that too. So certain things that you can't control in an untreated room, just keep that all in mind. I did go more in depth in the solo video here of the untreated room. So if you're interested in the specifics of this specific room, go check that out, that specific section. Just go to the untreated room chapter and come back to this and listen to it. Backing up about 2 feet away from the fronts of the microphones is what it's going to sound like in the untreated room. Shorter ceiling, so maybe you get some reflection back. I really haven't noticed it with the studio, which has the same ceiling because the studio is right behind me. So keep that in mind when you're listening. It's about a 7-foot ceiling, so not typical. It's a basement, so what do you expect? Now on stage right, closer to the Rode PodMic. And yeah, so when you talk about like treated and untreated, it can get a little fuzzy because the issue is you know, like treated as like a studio, like a jam room or some room that you would do like a recording of an album or something like that, where it's like silent, pretty much silent. So keep that in mind when I say untreated or treated. 180-degree test. This is what it's going to sound like in the untreated room. A little bit past the camera, which is about like 2-ish feet away from the rears of the microphones. This is what it's going to sound like. Let me know what you think of these rejections in a room like this. I'm going to do it for this series of videos in this room, for the untreated room. But we'll see. Maybe I'll redo some of it if it's not as echoey or bad. But these are dynamic microphones, so they should be pretty good in most situations. All right, so I'm going to read my notes, or make my notes, after I listen to all this, and let you know how I interpret all the audio from a post-listening perspective. So I'm choosing the Wave DX in this comparison. That doesn't mean that the PodMic is bad. I just feel like it's a certain microphone for a certain person. Now, both of these could be. Comparing these two, I feel like there were just enough things to bring this one to the winner's circle. And I'm going to go through my notes and give you a little more in-depth analysis of after I listen to it in post. So that will make things a little bit more easier to understand how I'm liking this microphone more. I noticed that the PodMic is more wide in its range. Obviously, the frequency response, as you saw in the spec sheet, it's obvious that you are taking away that high end, or a lot of that high end, on the Wave DX, where the PodMic is full 20 to 20. So that makes sense. Certain frequencies might not be used. Like if you have a lower voice and lower registered voice, you might not be using those frequencies anyway. So at the same price, it'd be better to get this, because then it can emphasize everything and not use those high ends. And possibly if there's a hiss going on, like anything like in those frequencies, it won't pick it up at all. But if you are a person that needs those frequencies to let your voice be heard properly, then maybe the PodMic is an option. Now to the distance and off axis, a little bit better on the DX. I feel like the frequency response plays a role in that, where the PodMic is a little more wide range and maybe picks up more of the room. The 90 and 180 were pretty much the same, at least from what I heard. If you heard it a little differently, let me know down in the comments, and we could talk about it. Maybe if I give it a little listen again, maybe I might feel differently. But from the couple times that I went through it, I went through it like a bunch of times, but it seemed like the Wave DX was better on the distance and same on the off-axis stuff. With the proximity effect, it's really coming down to your personal preference. It's a different type of low end that you're hearing. So, like I said, personal preference on that. It wasn't as close as I was hoping it to be, because the PodMic has a bit of a history to it. But with the newcomers of budget microphones, they're taking what the PodMic put out there originally and made it better. I mean, as most technology comes out, it does make the things that were a problem with the old ones and makes it better. Granted, a lot of the other ones, of the newer ones after the PodMic, they kind of make things worse. But hey, keep that in mind when you're picking one of these microphones. And eventually I'm going to do a full big budget battle with all the microphones, but that's going to be in the future later this year. So overall thoughts with this microphone, again, as I said in the solo video, I like this microphone. It's a solid microphone. The body could be like here or there. I mean, some people don't care about the build quality, and some people don't care about the handling noise. I do. That's my personal preference. That's what I have to let you guys know, just in case someone is interested in that. Maybe they handle the microphone a little more than the others. So if you're someone that doesn't handle the microphone, good for you. Maybe you have good microphone etiquette, but I mean, there's no reason to say that other people don't handle the microphone while they're using it. So be mindful of other people's use of the microphones when you're leaving comments down there. Obviously, I'm not gonna take it personally. It really doesn't matter to me. It's a personal preference and a personal opinion, so just be nice. That's all I ask. And that all being said, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below. It would be greatly appreciated. Helps this video, helps this channel, and all that stuff. If you are interested in more videos like this and want to be up to date, please consider subscribing to the Rebel Tech channel. Join the community. The Discord is up right now. Some people are joining it. It's really, I'm trying to get it to a point where it's self operating, because I don't have the time to answer every question. I do my best to answer every question. So I'm hoping that anyone in the community that may be available to answer questions there, please feel free to answer it. And always follow the rules. Be nice to each other. That's all I ask. It's not hard. And yeah, comments, everything, just be nice. And that is about it. Next week is the PD70. This versus the PD70, I should say. So keep an eye out for that and subscribe so you know that it comes out. When it comes out. It will come out. Trust me, it will. I know things have been kind of like inconsistent if you've been around here, but they're going to get better. I'm starting to get my schedule a little more set. And it's still hot. So I'm going to be signing off. And I will see you, Rebels, in the next video.